So I've always kind of been obsessed with things just throughout my life. Like right now, I'm currently obsessed with podcasts, right? Listening to podcasts, consuming podcasts, making podcasts. I love it. Everything about it, right? Producing content. I'm also really, really obsessed with the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Batman and comic book films of all types. Like, I get really into things, okay? And it usually comes in stages. And it's been like this since I was a child. And there was a specific obsession, maybe one of my most extreme obsessions, that I want to talk about today. So, cast your mind back with me to the year 1994. Now, in 1994, I had just gotten over my obsession with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I was in the third grade during my Power Rangers phase, but moving into fourth grade, moving into that year 1994, starting out in fourth grade, I found a new obsession, and that was Saved by the Bell. And now I know I'm not alone in this. I know an entire generation of people, maybe two generations of people back to back, were obsessed with Saved by the Bell. But I'm telling you, I'm not sure if people were obsessed with Saved by the Bell like I was obsessed with Saved by the Bell. That's what we're going to talk about right now. So, I don't know how this originally started. I think it's because I had an older brother who was, at that time, I was around 10 years old. So my brother would have been 15 or 16 years old. And he knew of Saved by the Bell, right? Like, that was his generation. The shows were coming out every Saturday as he was coming up. And I was just discovering the show right as it entered syndication. Like, they had just finished, I think, or maybe they were still filming and putting out the college years, Saved by the Bell, the college years. But the high school version of the show and the middle school version of the show had been done for a couple of years. It was in syndication now, and now it was on, to the best of my recollection, it was on 5 times a day, every single weekday. And like I said, a lot of kids probably watched Saved by the Bell every day. I watched Saved by the Bell every day, every time it was on. Like, to the endless annoyance of my parents. I dominated the TV for 2.5 hours of every single day. I first watched it on NBC, and then at 5 o'clock it would come on TBS for an hour, two straight episodes. And then if you flipped it over to the Chicago station, WGN, you could watch 2 more episodes back to back. So, yeah, this is where my obsession started, right, with the syndicated show, just after it had kind of ended. Tiffany Amber Thiessen was on to, she was just starting out on Beverly Hills 90210. So that'll give you a range if you remember what was going on at the time. Just for reference, like, Party of Five was a show at the time. Melrose Place was a show at the time. Like, this is what was going on. All right, so discovered the show and quickly became just massively obsessed with this show. I was obsessed with the characters. I was obsessed with the stories, the storylines of each episode. I was obsessed with Bayside High, and I even loved the college years. A lot of people didn't like the college years. That was some of my favorite episodes. I became madly obsessed. I sought out everything Saved by the Bell. And I was in love with Tiffany Amber Thiessen. And let me tell you something. I went above and beyond obsession here. I would track down back issues of the teen magazines, right, from a couple years past. I would track down back issues. I would order back issues from the current magazines of the old magazines so that I could get Saved by the Bell stuff. I wanted to Saved by the Bell posters to put in my room. Mainly, I wanted posters of Tiffany Amber Thiessen to put in my room. Also in these magazines, right? So I was ordering, I would spend, this is my chore money I'm spending on this. I'm buying Tiger Beat and Teen Beat and all these things that, you know, are kind of seen as probably like teenage girl magazines. But they contained a lot of Saved by the Bell stuff. So, you know, and where else do you find posters of Saved by the Bell in 1994, 1995? So I'm ordering back issues of that. I'm collecting posters to put up in my room. A couple are of Saved by the Bell, of the whole gang, but most of them are of Tiffany Amber. So that kind of love aside, and for me, it was kind of my first love, I think, was Tiffany Amber Thiessen. When it came to the show, like I said, I watched it all day, every day. It was ridiculous. And then I sought out everything I could Saved by the Bell, right? I mean, I wrote letters to the cast of Saved by the Bell. In the back of these teen magazines, they would have kind of these fan addresses where you could mail letters to your favorite celebrities. And it was everybody at the time, you know. You could get the 90210 cast, the Melrose Place cast, you know, the obviously Saved by the Bell. There was some other teen shows like Saved by the Bell, like California Dreams and stuff like that. And you could find these fan mail addresses and you could mail something to them. And I thought, you know, at the time, I didn't know any better. I thought these were like real, like they were going to read every single one of these fan letters and respond to them. And, you know, so I wrote these like well thought out letters to Tiffany Amber and to members of the cast and stuff. And I remember I even got some postcards back in the mail that, like, you know, said like generic phrases like, may all your dreams come true, love Tiffany Amber, you know. And I just treasured these things. I had 2 or 3 of them because I had written her 2 or 3 letters. But that's not all. But wait, there's more. So my room is decked out in posters of Kelly Kapowski and my... I'm gaining a collection of these teen magazines that have Saved by the Bell stuff in them. I'm writing letters to the cast, but it doesn't stop there. I find the Saved by the Bell soundtrack, and I buy that. I don't know anybody that owned the Saved by the Bell soundtrack. Maybe you did, but none of my friends owned the Saved by the Bell soundtrack. But I owned the Saved by the Bell soundtrack, and I loved it. I loved it. Thinking back now, it was some of the most terrible music ever put together. If you could just think of songs from the show, including songs that like the pretend band Zack Attack sang, or pretended to sing, the theme songs, a couple different versions of the theme songs from like the Saved by the Bell Hawaiian style movie. It was just this collaboration of everything Saved by the Bell, all the music from the show. And yeah, I rocked that son of a bitch. I loved that CD. But wait, there's still more. Listen, I used this stuff called Sun-In. It was this spray that you would spray into your hair, and it would slowly turn it more blonde, right? It would bleach it slowly. And it wasn't like ridiculous. It wouldn't turn it white, but it would just lighten your hair over time. You'd put it in your hair and you'd comb it in. And that was my goal, man. I wanted Zach Morris's hair. I wanted to be Zach Morris. He was the coolest guy in the world to me. And it's ridiculous. I mean, my hair is like a Brillo pad. It's like the curliest. There's no way in hell it would ever look like Zach Morris's hair. But I believed I could get it. You know, I cut my hair with the undercut, like the kind of later stage high school years of Zach Morris. I had the undercut. I was trying to dye it blonde. And yeah, it never quite worked, but it was ridiculous. I owned, and this is what made me, I was thinking about this today, that's what made me think of this whole obsessive time in my life, this Saved by the Bell obsession. I owned an entire set of Saved by the Bell books. These were like young teen books, right? Maybe 150 page little novels. And it was great. It was, they were not adaptations of episodes of Saved by the Bell. They were brand new stories, with titles like Kelly's Hero and Zack Strikes Back and Impeach Screech, Mid-Semester Blues. Like, I still remember the titles of these books. I can picture what they look like. I can picture the cover of them. And it's just crazy. I remember saving up. The first time I saw one of these books was back in the day, and I don't know if they still do it the same way anymore. Now they do something with like a book fair at school for the kids, but when we were in school, it was Scholastic. There was a Scholastic book club, and you would get this little handout in class where you could order books from Scholastic. And you could get Goosebumps, and a lot of my peers were ordering Goosebumps and stuff like that. Kind of like, kid themed stuff. But what I thought was much more mature, I saw that they had a Saved by the Bell book in the Scholastic thing, and I ordered it, right? Because, at this time I'm obsessed with the show. I order the book, and then I find out when I get the book, you read in the back cover or whatever, and it tells you that there are other books available. And these books were written by Beth Cruz. So, and I still remember that even. Isn't that crazy? So, I get this book. I think it's probably Zack Strikes Back, and then I find out there's more of them. And I make a trip to Walden Books. This is when bookstores, there were all kinds of different bookstores, I went to our local mall and went to Walden Books. And I went up to the cash register and I asked them, like, do you have Saved by the Bell books? Well, they didn't really have, I think they had a couple in store, but I knew there were many more. And I remember going up there and asking them, like, is there a way I can order the rest of the books? I want to get all of them, And I don't remember how much these books were, $7-8 a piece maybe. And I remember I saved up my chore money for like, I don't know, a month or two. Went in there with like 60, 70, $80 and just dropped it all. Bought like 20 of the Saved by the Bell books. And there was like 25 in the series, I think. And I'm a completionist. I've always have been, and maybe this is where it started. But I had to own every one of Beth Cruz' Saved by the Bell novels. And so I did that, and this is a collection I was really proud of, There was only one other friend I had in school who was obsessed with Saved by the Bell in the same way. His name was Jeremy Bolin, and we were both obsessed with Saved by the Bell. We would talk about Saved by the Bell, but I don't think his obsession went as far as mine. Like, I think he had one of the books. I had every single one of the books. I had posters all over my room. It was ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Now just thinking how obsessed I was over this show that wasn't even running anymore. It was already over. Well, anyway, to this day, I still love Saved by the Bell. I remember back in the early 2000s, I ordered all of the Saved by the Bell DVDs. I bought the entire collection, including the college years. Watched them all over again a few times. I've since lost that collection. I don't know whatever happened to that. I've lost a lot of stuff through the years. But, now they're all available to stream. And I've listened to several Saved by the Bell rewatch podcasts. So the obsession never really dies. It just kind of simmers down a little bit and buries itself back in your brain. Mine anyway. But yeah, it was pretty bad. I had it pretty bad for Saved by the Bell. And I wonder, I realize now that a lot of my peers were watching Saved by the Bell. They just weren't really talking about it because everyone did. I mean, now I can hear people talk on podcasts about it. Like, it was pretty normal for people to watch several episodes a day, kind of like I was. and maybe not go to the extent that I did with the ordering back issues of Teen Beat and buying every novel, writing letters to the cast, even though the show had been over for a couple of years. Maybe not to that extent, but my peers were watching this show, so now I don't feel as weird, thinking back. But I just remember no one was talking about it. They were going home and watching it, but they were never talking about it at school and stuff. And so, yeah, that is my story of my obsession, my absolute maddening, burning obsession with Saved by the Bell. I owned the books, man. All right. If you enjoyed this little trip down memory lane, if you enjoyed the story of my crazy obsession with Saved by the Bell, like the video, please. And if you enjoy stuff like this, please subscribe to the channel. I try to do this daily. I'm not perfect. The channel's called Daily BS. The idea was to do it daily. I did it for a really long time. And now I at least do it a few times a week. I'm trying to get back to daily. But like I said, I'm not perfect. But if you enjoy that, what I do here is I kind of talk mostly about pop culture and entertainment, movie reviews, book reviews, stuff like that. But every once in a while, I just talk about stuff that's on my mind, like this. Sometimes I share stories from my questionable youth. So if you're interested in that and getting something new and interesting in your feed, every day, almost every day, then please subscribe to the channel. Hit the notifications bell to make sure you actually see when I upload, because if you don't, you probably won't see my uploads. They won't even show up in your feed. So hit the notifications bell, subscribe to the channel, or depending on how you're listening or watching this, favorite or follow the podcast, Daily BS. So there's a podcast and there's a channel, both of the same name. One is just a video version and one is a straight up podcast. So you can find it either on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. Just search Daily BS. But yeah, if you do subscribe, favorite, or follow the podcast, if you do decide to stick around, then I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Thanks.